John mourns the wicked.
So true.
But it's not, because you know who was mourning the wicked?
Glinda.
Galinda.
Wait, are we calling her Glinda or Galinda?
You know, when we were watching the movie, I was like, actually, like, Galinda is a much more normal name. Like, Glinda is a weird name.
Yeah, you're right. Galinda is way more normal. I guess it just sounds weirder to me because I always thought her name was Glinda.
I mean, her name is Glinda. Like, in the movie, The Wizard of Oz. It's Glinda the Good Witch. What a wild ride that was. What did you think?
Wicked?
Yeah. We're talking about Wicked today. How are you,
Wicked, the
Tae?
20... Oh my god, I can't speak. We just finished recording the arcade episode in the same go, so I think we're both a little lost brain cells. But I'm doing well, Sammie. How are you?
I'm so good. I feel really blessed by Wicked.
It was so good. Like, it was weirdly so... I had such
Incredible.
low expectations at the same time that I was also very excited to see it. I was like, I'm excited, but I'm also going to be realistic that it'll probably be bad. And then it was good.
That was a representation of my applause for John M. Chu. It starts out slow and sarcastic and then becomes very genuine.
Oh my god, I see the vision.
Yeah, because the thing about John M. Chu is, like, now I hold a lot of respect for him. And I did before, kind of, but...
Wait, what else has he directed?
So he did Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, right. And didn't he do In the Heights too?
And then he did In the Heights.
And that was bad.
And that was bad. In the Heights is my favorite musical, and I feel like he really fumbled the ball.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be, like, really magical. And I wasn't feeling that in the movie. And also, I guess this isn't really his fault, but they also made a lot of script changes that didn't really make sense to me. Anyway, this is not the In the Heights episode. Because he did not fumble the ball on Wicked.
No, he did not.
He really took his experience on In the Heights, took that as a learning experience. And so when they trusted him with Wicked, he was like, I am not going to disappoint. I'm going to learn from my mistakes. I'm going to do it right this time.
And he slayed.
He ate.
He ate down.
He ate down and up and left and right. It was so good. Do you want to just talk about your experience in the theater?
Well, first of all, I didn't realize that Wicked was 3 hours, and it did not feel like 3 hours, because when it ended, I was like, no way I've been in that theater for 3 hours, because it actually moved, like, very well, and I didn't realize the musical itself, like the Broadway musical, is only like an hour and 45, is that correct?
The whole musical, Act 1 and Act 2? Okay, so here's some stats. Wicked Part 1, the movie, had a 2-hour, 40-minute runtime, which is way longer than I expected. That is fair to say that it was almost 3 hours. But I agree, it didn't feel that long. But that's kind of a hot take. I feel like people were kind of annoyed with the inflated runtime. They were bored. I was not bored for a single moment.
Okay, never mind. The Wicked show runs for 2 hours and 45 minutes, which makes sense.
Wow.
But that's still crazy because that's the same length for just half of the storyline. But I still think it worked. It felt like it moved well, and I feel like I felt the character progression happen in like a gradual and like accurate way, but it was still like fun and whimsical. I think what I really liked about it is that it really leaned into like the musical vibe where things kind of progress like really fast through songs. Yeah. But it's still... And they leaned into the fact that it was kind of, like, whimsical and, like, a little bit camp and ridiculous. But at the same time, it felt, like,
I didn't
genuine.
really feel the camp.
I mean, I feel like Glinda is just camp. Like, her vibe.
I mean, she was funny.
Yeah. But, like, she's so over the top, and she's so, like, high femme. And, like,
yeah, sometimes they were there were, like, moments, like, when...
And then her friends, too.
When her friends, like, pick her up. Mm-hmm. When they're, like... in a plank position.
Yeah,
like, that was funny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it still felt genuine.
Yeah.
And, like, it still felt realistic, the emotional progressions and the relationships.
Yeah. And everyone was so good.
Yeah, like, they slayed.
This is usually a problem when they stunt cast with, like, you know, you have, like, Jeff Goldblum
Michelle
and Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, they
Peter
did well.
Dinklage.
Yeah.
Their singing direction, Peter Dinklage played the goat, Dr. Dillamond.
Oh, because I was like, I did not see him there. That makes sense.
Oh, by the way, okay, spoilers for the Wicked movie, part 1. even though it's like a 20-year-old musical
and
based on
over
like
100
however year long book based on another movie that's like even older, based on another book that's even older. Anyway, yeah, they were all directed so well that like even though you can tell they're not singers, they were like talk singing in a way that wasn't like displeasing to listen to.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I just knew that like that can be accredited partly to John M. Chu, and I was like, wow, good job, John.
He ate with that. Yeah, Michelle Yeoh actually was speaking in an interview about how she was really nervous about her singing part. I don't know if you saw that.
I don't think so. I actually didn't watch a lot of press.
Oh, I watched like a lot of the Ariana and Cynthia clips from their press tour on TikTok because they were really hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, Michelle Yeoh was saying she was really nervous about it, but Cynthia Erivo like pulled her aside and she was like, "You can do this. Like, I believe in you." And then she was like, "Yeah, actually, this is what I have to do because like in the world, in this universe, like what her character like Madame Marble has to do is to sing to convince Elphaba to like come into her world and believe her worldview." And she said when she was thinking about it that way and like singing as like a tool for that, she was able to like put her acting ability into it and like really commit to the bit.
Yeah.
Which I feel like was cool, like a cool way to look at it. And it worked out, I think.
And she did a great job. One of my concerns while I was watching the movie is I was like, Madame Marble's too nice. Like, she's not that nice in the musical. But it really worked because it made her, like, corruption and evil reveal so much, like, crazier.
Yeah, it was good. Like, it felt shocking, but in a way where it's like, I can see that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like, of course she's evil.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, in the musical, she's always, like, kind of mean and a little sus. Even though she
her
wasn't...
name's Madame Morrible. So.
Right, yeah. She wasn't, like, explicitly evil yet until the end. But in the book, she's, like, really sus the whole time.
Oh, I didn't realize that was a change. Because, yeah, for context, Sammie has seen the musical, read
most of the book.
Okay. And I've done neither.
But you've listened to some of the songs.
Yes, I've heard What Is This Feeling, Popular, Wait, Defying Gravity, and For Good.
And now you've heard all of them.
And now I've heard more of them.
Because that's another great thing about the movie, is that every single song and every single part of every single song, plus more, is in the movie.
Yeah, that's true. They don't have to cut anything.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I thought that was so lovely. Because one of the gripes that I usually have with movie musicals, among many other things, is the fact that they have to cut parts of songs. And so I'm, like, listening to the soundtrack or I'm watching the movie and, like, singing along out louder in my head. And they're skipping parts. And I'm like, excuse
that's
me.
annoying.
Like, even when it's dumb stuff that I understand why they skip.
Yeah, it just ruins the vibes.
The vibes were so good because, like, even Popular starts with the... Elfie, now that we're friends. You know, like, she does the 2 lines that are on the original soundtrack. Like, it's perfect. But then they still, like, add their own flair to it. Ugh, it was so good. And I know there's, like, so much controversy around Ariana Grande, but, like, she ate. Good. Like, but people are just finding anything to complain about.
Oh,
They're
really?
like, she sounds too much like Ari. You know, like, she still sounds like Ari. And I'm like...
I don't know, I bought into it.
I did not think so, actually. I thought she really sounded like Galinda. My only thing is that she didn't go full opera on the opera parts. And I actually have not discussed this with our other cousin yet. But I will. And I missed that. And I was really, really giving her the benefit of the doubt because I was like, well, surely she can do it. Surely it's not that she is incapable of going like more operatic and having that more like open back of mouth sound. I feel like someone just directed her not to because this is for a more general audience. There was this girl in one of my classes that I was talking to and we were talking about the movie and she was like, you know, I feel like the movie is going to be really good because I think Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are better than
Kristen Chenoweth and
Idina Menzel. And I'm like, I don't know this girl very well. So I was like,
That is a hot take.
And then I was like, that's a hot take, yeah.
Yeah, that's a hot take.
And, like, honestly, I hadn't really thought to compare them before.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, this is just so different, you know? And it's been so long, like, Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth were never in the running to play these characters in the movie. But, like, of course, it's a natural, like, comparison to think of. And after watching the movie, I do not think that they're better. Mm-hmm. But what I do think, and I'm not even saying like they're worse either.
Yeah.
But I think that both of them have much clearer tones that are much more suitable for a general audience. Both Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel have beautiful voices, but they're very distinct. And they're so character. Like, a really good moment to compare is there's this moment in Dancing Through Life where Nessa is telling Elphaba that, like, Bach just asked her out and she's so excited. And she's like, Elphaba, like, don't you see we deserve each other, whatever. And then Elphaba's like, I do. And in the movie, Cynthia Erivo is like, I do. And it's so beautiful. And it's also beautiful when Idina Menzel does it. But if you listen on the soundtrack, you know, she sings it in her way. And she's like, I do. That's how she sings. And it's like so much more distinct. A spoiler, like when Idina Menzel does show up in the movie, spoiler, like you can hear her even when she's singing with the ensemble. Her voice is that distinct. I wouldn't say that like Cynthia Erivo is better than her, but I would say that like her voice is better for a general audience.
Yeah, I feel like that makes sense because I feel like in a movie, because obviously they did in some parts lean into like the ridiculousness of the Oz world, but I feel like if they had a very like over the top character voice, it would have made it feel more unrealistic, where when you're having like close-ups and like longer extended dialogue scenes, it wouldn't have worked as well. Whereas it works better in theater because it's like, it's theater and they're on a stage and you're like far away from them.
And I thought that they did such a good job of making the transition from speaking to singing.
It was good. So yeah, it was good.
And that's a really, really hard thing to do on screen because it's so hard to ask audiences to suspend their disbelief in a movie.
Yes, that's true.
And I think the way they achieved it is like a lot of the singing was so quiet. Which is why, like, I've been listening to the movie soundtrack. I love it.
I really listened to it immediately after watching the movie as well.
But I think in the long run, I would still prefer to listen to the Broadway soundtrack because they're actually singing out. And they're singing in the movie, they're singing in a very naturalistic way for a lot of the times. Like, in No One Mourns the Wicked, when Glinda is doing that part that's, like, a little bit after. Usually that's sung out, but they did a different interpretation where she's kind of, like, singing it to herself. And so it's a lot quieter. And I liked that in the movie, but it's not as fun to listen to. Yeah. But like all the choices, I think ultimately served to make me enjoy the story more. Because I actually saw Wicked when it came to LA. Well, it comes all the time. It comes like maybe every year.
Yeah.
But I saw it when it came in like 2016, I want to say.
Okay, so a while ago.
So it was a long time ago, but even then, and I was pretty young, I was like, that wasn't that good. You know, like, I liked the music, and so I wanted to go see the show, and then I did, but the show itself didn't really eat. I don't remember exactly what it was about it, but I was like, the pacing of the show is weird, and, like, it's really... I didn't like the set design. I thought it was really gaudy and ugly. Well, not, like, ugly. That's mean.
I mean, it's valid if you thought it was ugly.
I didn't like it very much.
Yeah.
I didn't like the show that much. And I was like, this is super overrated.
Yeah.
And I just, like, listened to the soundtrack and I was like, but, like, no wonder Avenue Q beat it out for Tony for Best Musical in 2003. You know what I mean? But then I got really excited for the movie. The movie has really redeemed it for me. Yeah,
the pacing was really good in the movie.
The pacing was good. All of the character development was really good. And I think that when you're in the movie, you have the opportunity to really have that, like, intimate close-up with the characters. Ariana Grande as Glinda can, like, whisper parts of Popular right into your ear, and, like, that's okay. It really helped me to realize that the story is actually very cool and very good. The story is like good. Like the original Wizard of Oz was a story. It was like a metaphor. It wasn't really much of a metaphor, but it was a story about populism. And then you go on to Wicked, and Wicked is so many things. And on a surface level, you can see like, oh, it's about like their sisterhood, like the friendship between these two women, and it's about like feeling other and like a metaphor for racism or like, you know, just like being different in general. And then like there's the whole oppression of the animals, like all this stuff. And it is apparent in the musical, but I feel like in the movie you're really able to see it.
Yeah, they did a good job with it.
Yeah. And this could just be because I haven't seen the show in a while, that, like, I forget about how the commentary is actually, like, pretty good. At the end of the movie, you realize that the show it's like an anti-propaganda movie.
Yeah.
And that is so important right now.
True.
And so it's rare that we have movies, like, big budget movies these days are like, we just talked about Arcane, that's not a movie, but, like, propaganda, you know? Or we have another movie that's like the Marvel movies, and they're all, like, military propaganda. And so it is cool to have a movie that's actually, like, anti-government.
What I did like about it is because on a surface level, if you just tell people, like, the plot of Wicked, the animals are being oppressed, and of course it's the wizard who's doing it, and, you know, all of that kind of stuff, and then they blame the, like, green girl. It sounds a little oversimplified, I guess, if you, like, explain it like that, but I actually feel like because the world was so whimsical and, like, fantasy, and they had all those, like, ridiculous different words where it was, like, almost like words from our world, but it wasn't, that it worked, that it was so, like, a blatantly, like, obvious message, because I feel like it fit within the world. But I also do think that's why they got away with it, is because it's kind of very straightforward. You can apply it to so many things, but also because it's so, like, unspecific, it's not offensive to the higher powers.
Right. Yeah. No, I think you're right. But, like, after seeing the movie, I was thinking about it. I was like, wow, that really is, like, so anti-establishment.
Yeah, it was good. I didn't know that Wicked had that storyline. Like, I knew part of it was, like, Elphaba gets discriminated against because she's, like, green and stuff, but I had no idea about the whole, like, animal subplot, like, don't trust politicians, like, propaganda kind of stuff. Like, I had no idea that was part of it. And,
like, the ending, do you know how the musical ends?
No.
Can I spoil it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so spoilers for Wicked Part 2, and also for the musical, and... Well, actually, I don't really know how the book ends. I think the ending is a little different.
Okay.
But, like, at the end of Act 1 or Part 1, they split ways. And Elphaba's like, I'm going off to be, like, a political fugitive. And
Real!
And Glinda, who I think it's clear in the movie, like, she had really not a lot of political promise. Madame Morrible was like, you'll never be a sorcerer. Like, you have no potential. And
that was crazy.
But then the reason that she's initially trying to convince Elphie to stay is because the wizard's like, oh yeah, Elphaba, like, you should join me, and then maybe there'll be a position for your friend too, like, you should bring her to become, like, a politically important person too. And so then when Elphaba leaves, Madame Morrible sees Glinda as an opportunity to, like, turn her into a new political figurehead. And that's how we see her at the beginning of the movie, when she's, like, you know, lighting the thing of Elphaba on fire.
That was crazy!
And it's because at the end, and I've always really loved how the musical starts that way.
Yeah, like, I didn't know that either.
It's so cool the way it ties in. But at the end of Act 2, they have a final confrontation. They sing For Good, and they're like, I've changed because of you. And Glinda's whole thing, it's all very thematically consistent, too. Glinda's whole thing is, like, popularity, that's what's most important, not what you're saying. And Elphaba has always just been, like, morals, 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 and I, like, stick by those.
Right.
And in the end, Elphaba takes a little bit of what she learned from Glinda. You think she dies at the end. I think in the book she really does die, but at the end of the musical, it's revealed that she faked her death.
With Fiyero, right?
She runs away with Fiyero. And so it's kind of like she took a page out of Glinda's book, and she lost, essentially. I don't think she saved the animals in the end, but she prioritized her personal safety and got away, which is something that Glinda would do. This is also from a Tumblr post, by the way. I didn't come up with this. But then Glinda, at the end, tells the truth about the story of Elphaba, which is something that Elphaba would do. And so they really do change each other for good.
Wait,
but anyway,
that's crazy.
You know, they've chosen separate things. Glinda is, like, doing what she always thought would make her happiest, but she's alone. And she's, like, lost everyone. But she's popular. And she's a political figurehead. And now she's just spouting nonsense. And that she doesn't believe any of it. They make the government look super corrupt. They already expose that the wizard has no power. And at the end, Elphaba loses. So it's, like, actually, like, crazy. Because usually, even if a piece of art is critiquing the government, they usually have, like, the government fixed by the end of the show. Mm-hmm. But, like, the show's kind of crazy for not doing that.
Yeah, that's true. Just like Parasite.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that is really good. When you were talking about, like, Madame Morrible taking Glinda under her wing, I was just thinking, you know, I actually really liked the, like, casting choices. Because I really felt like I believed that Madame Morrible was, like, on Elphaba's side at the beginning of the movie, because I was like, oh, like, you know, she's like a woman of color, like, obviously, you know, it's like different because it's not really like as relevant race in their world, but just like the optics, because we come from our world. I was like, oh, she's like a woman of color who like is a sorceress, and like she sees this potential in this like other woman of color who's been like overlooked her whole life, and she's taking her under her wing. But then the fact that she's East Asian, or no, she's not East Asian, actually, she's Malaysian, isn't she?
She is?
I think.
I actually don't know.
Anyways, she's Asian. So I was like, but the fact that she turned out being evil, I was kind of like, I also see that vision. Because, like, the impulse that a lot of Asians have to play into that model minority stereotype and give
secretly
in to
work
power.
For the government.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, they kind of ate with that. I don't know if they were thinking that hard about it.
I feel like they weren't. I don't think they were intending to make a comment on Asians like that. Because that feels like a little...
too advanced.
It feels like a little combative, you know. I feel like a lot of Asians would not like to hear that, you know.
Oh, definitely. And
it exposes us.
It's just like in Get Out, when it's all the white people who are going to like take over the black people's bodies, and then there's also an East Asian couple there.
There is? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's tea. I don't remember that.
Yeah, because it's like, they trying to get that white privilege.
Yeah.
So we will never achieve it, so time to stop trying.
Yes, and we will discuss this more in an episode very soon, so, like, don't...
Oh, Asians, yeah, because we're doing the Asian episode.
Yeah, and we will definitely, like, touch on this, like,
stuff,
model minority thing. And spoiler alert, we're not blaming Asians for this. Anyway...
Well... It is kind of
entirely
Asian, well, yeah, obviously white supremacy, but it is also kind of like you have agency as an Asian person to not play into the system, be complicit in systems of power, and then push down other less fortunate people than you.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I think it's more complicated than that. Like, I just wanted to clarify that we're not saying like Asians evil like white people.
Yeah,
I mean, more
Asians
aren't
that. Evil. Well, not all of them.
I was gonna say that it's kind of like that TikTok we were watching about Arcane. This guy was saying, like, oh, so slay that...
The lesbian Wasian super cop.
The lesbian Wasian super cop can be a dictator, too. And so it's like, yeah, let's go, Michelle Yeoh. You can be
diabolical, too.
Yeah, representation for evil people of color.
Yeah, no, I know we've mentioned this before in the other episode, or we probably did, but... I really did appreciate that they cast, like, a black woman as Elphaba. That definitely added positively to my viewing experience.
What else did I have to say about Wicked?
I loved the costuming on Elphaba.
So
it was so gorgeous. And I've heard a lot of good things. Lots of people liked her hairstyle. And I know she had a lot of hand in her makeup as well. Like, she was the one who suggested the freckles. Because she wanted something cute to, like... warm up her face, like when you get in close, like something to kind of like make her skin feel more real. And then they also spent a lot of time choosing the contacts. They wanted like a green that felt
her eyes
natural.
Were green?
Exactly. They wanted it to
notice.
Match the rest of her, but also feel natural. And then throughout the movie, the color and length of her nails also changes to show her like character progression. And they also spent a lot of time choosing that nail polish color. But what I loved was all the texture on all her black outfits.
Yeah.
Like, it was gorgeous.
They had, like, hints of... I really liked her Ozdas Ballroom one. Mm-hmm. That was, like, really... I watched, like, the behind-the-scenes video of that. It was, like, really cool, like, layers. And then it had, like, purple at the bottom that was mixed in. It was really gorgeous.
It was so pretty. And I did really like Ariana Grande's... Is it dressing robe or whatever in the popular scene?
Oh, yeah, her dressing gown.
It was so in character, and it was so cute, and it moved really well for, like, the scene itself. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how I felt about some of the, like, gray and pink striped outfits.
I really liked it, actually.
Yeah, I think it fit her vibe, but I don't know if I personally thought they were cute or not.
I like the uniform one. I thought that was cute. Mm-hmm. The one that kind of looks like an apron dress, I loved. Like, I was like, I would love to wear that. It felt like a little bit casual for Glinda, but maybe that was like her casual outfit. Well, just the movie in general. Do you think, was it gay enough for you?
I feel like it was really gay. But obviously, I can't really make a judgment unless the part 2 comes out and then we see how gay part 2 is.
But then she also has like the thing with Fiyero.
Yeah, I thought that was a good love triangle.
Honestly, I didn't really buy that she liked Fiyero that much.
Who?
Elphaba.
Elphaba?
Yeah.
If anyone, I didn't really buy into it. It was honestly, like, more so Glinda.
Liking Fiyero?
Yeah.
Well, because she's a lesbian, but, like, that's supposed to happen. I didn't really buy that either of them liked Fiyero, but I wasn't trying to buy that Glinda liked him.
I bought into Elphaba liking him. I feel like they had really good chemistry in that one scene by the river when they were saving the, like, little lion cub.
That's true, actually.
That was really good. Didn't expect that. In my mind, I was already like, what is Fiyero's deep-seated traumas that causes him to act in this manner? And I was like, oh, clearly he's, like, a silly guy, and, you know, it's obvious that, like, people who are really... oftentimes, like, characters who are very, like, flirtatious and, like, want everyone to like them, you know, they have some sort of insecurity they're trying to overcompensate for. But I didn't expect the movie itself to actually, like, address that. And then when Elphaba was like, I can see through your facade.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was good.
And then the scene when they're by the river and then she, like, strokes her, like, thumb over his
that was crazy. I was like,
oh my god, y'all are eye fucking right now. Like... I don't know. I bought into it.
I mean, I think I just wanted Gelfie to happen so much. Yeah, I was having a hard time. But, like, I didn't expect it.
Yeah,
I did not, like, that would be a crazy departure. As they say in Beetlejuice, a departure from the source material. Everyone on Tumblr was like, there's so much subtext, like, don't even worry, you'll be so fed by the subtext. And I was like, I am not fed by the subtext right now. Like, yeah, they're holding hands, and what about it?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it would have been better if they kissed, but it was pretty gay.
It was pretty gay.
I was surprised. Like, the relationship between them felt so genuine and, like, well-developed. Honestly, I feel like a lot of movies and shows these days don't pull that off. Like, I actually felt invested in, like, their relationship. I don't know, I feel like I haven't felt that way about a lot of recent media.
Yeah.
It had heart.
Honestly, that's nice for a platonic relationship, too, because as much as I love a romance...
Nah, I feel like they're gay, man.
No, I do feel like they're gay, but also, like, canonically they're not gay.
In the musical.
Well, okay. In the musical, who knows? In the book...
They're gay.
In the book... No, they're not gay together. But in the book, Glinda is in love with Elphaba, canonically. It's like in Glinda's inner monologue. She, like, thinks back to her childhood and she just remembers, like, that time that she and Elphaba shared a bed and it made her feel so brave. I think even in the musical, I don't really buy Fiyero and Elphaba until this song in Act 2, which is one of my favorite songs. As Long As You're Mine. Just, like, really sexy. Maybe that's a hot take.
I wouldn't know.
Oh, wait, yeah, As Long As You're Mine. As Long As You're Mine and No Good Deed are crazy songs.
Wait, no, I think I have heard No Good Deed.
Yeah, No Good Deed is awesome. It's, like, comes right after As Long As You're Mine, because that's, like, their duet. They're both like, maybe I'm crazy for loving you, but I love you. And it's, like, really intense. And I'm like, yes, this is what I'm here for. So I'm really excited for part 2.
Nice.
Because then I think, like, they already, like, did a pretty good job with their relationship. But I know it's not going to hit me until I see that song. And so I'm really excited. And then No Good Deed is, like, after when, like, she can't save him. And then she's, like... upsetty. You know who was a standout in this movie?
Who?
The father of Elphaba
you mentioned
and Nessa Rose. He was an amazing singer, and he did such a good job. Like, that is such a small role, but he bodied that.
Slay.
Like, he was like, I am here, and he stole the show. And then he showed up in a couple other scenes, and it was like, okay. But it was like, in that beginning part, he was like, I am here, to quote Cynthia Erivo. Yeah, he was great. Also, Bone Yang did a really good job.
He was funny.
Like,
liked him.
He was, like, definition of there are no small parts. because like he had not a big part, but like he was really funny. Mm-hmm. He said that line. He was like, "I don't see color." That was really funny.
So funny. Yeah. No, he ate it up. I feel like everyone did a really good job in this movie. It was good, and dude, I didn't realize it was Peter Dinklage, but the goat. Mm-hmm. The goat slayed too.
That is the song I always skip though.
Yeah, no, that's fair, but I feel like the scenes with the goat were really good. Mm-hmm. What was his name?
Dillamond. Okay. Dr. Dillamond. Not Professor. Dr. Dillamond.
Yeah. He was good.
Ugh, I've heard of an ox professor from somewhere.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see how that would be a skip song, but I feel like it was good. They ate with that.
Defying Gravity had a lot of pauses.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It ate.
Yeah, it worked. I thought Defying Gravity was really good, and it was really cool when she flew up in the sky and her cape got super duper long.
Yeah.
And I really liked the line where she was like, "No wizard that there is or was." Like, I love the delivery of that. That was fire.
And I think that part looked the worst because they had to use CGI. Right. Like, there was no getting around it. Like, the part where she was, like, floating and she looked in the mirror and she saw her young self also floating, I was like, I recognize that this looks stupid. Like, it looks stupid, but I had invested my suspended disbelief that at this point in the movie, I can recognize this moment for its, like, significance and, like, what it is as an emotional, like, story moment, that, like, it's okay that it looks stupid. I cashed out on my investment, and it was great. I know that when the first trailer came out, Cynthia Erivo's version of, like, the last note of Defying Gravity was a bit controversial. I think it was so good.
It was good.
I thought at the time, because I was also a little bit like, whoa, when I heard it in the trailer so long ago, I assumed that was, like, an outtake, and she was going to do it, like, normal in the movie. I'm so glad she did it that way. It was so good. It was gorgeous. A little, like crisp in her voice. Perfect. A little bit of an inconsistency, though, because in the Idina Menzel cameo, she's like, and they'll sing, like, whoever this prophet is will sing, and, like, and then she did the note her way. By her prophecy, she should do it the same way, but it doesn't matter. Because the whole point of that cameo is because you just want to hear Idina Menzel do it.
Yeah.
And then, like, Cynthia Erivo's going to do her own way. I don't really care about that. But, so I don't know why I brought it up.
Well, that's a fun fact, because I didn't even realize, honestly, that Idina Menzel did that in her cameo.
Yeah, because they're playing the...
Right. Yeah, I just didn't really, like, pay that hard attention. I was like, oh my god, they're there, and then I kind of zoned out. But yeah, no, I really liked the part where they were, staring into each other's eyes. The balcony windows were open. And that was, like, so emotional, and I felt like it was earned. Because that's rare. Once again, I feel like that's been rare in movies these days. Yeah. Like, I don't feel that invested. Like, I can track, like, what they're doing. But I feel like that's the issue. If I'm tracking what a movie is doing to me emotionally and where, like, the characters' arcs are progressing while I'm watching it, clearly you're not doing enough. But that one, I was able to just, like, experience it with them. So I really liked their relationship. And I honestly, the reason why I said that I liked the love triangle is because they had such a good relationship. And I feel like it made total sense, like, why Glinda and Fiyero ended up, like, together. Like, they're the ones who actually ended up together. And then I did really buy into, like, Fiyero and Elphaba's relationship. I don't know, it was really good because I felt like they all cared about each other, which was, like, that made it juicy, I feel like.
Yeah, and it, like, wasn't really... And I love her song, I'm Not That Girl. Like, I never thought of it before, but this is what I mean about the movie really bringing so much emotional depth to the story.
Yeah,
they let
really
you, like,
did.
put a magnifying glass on it. I have never thought deeply about I'm Not That Girl, but...
It was crazy. The optics
are crazy, and she knows it.
Yeah.
She is so aware of it. She's like, I'm not that girl. I'm not the girl he loves, but she's also like, I'm not that kind of girl.
Yeah.
Who would, like, go after my best friend's man.
But then she low-key does. Like, she does it, but, like...
I mean, not like...
He kind of goes after her, though, which was kind of crazy work.
I actually don't remember exactly what goes down in the second act.
I heard, though, that in the other versions, he doesn't actually show interest in her in the beginning of the musical. Like, by the time I'm Not That Girl happens, like, Fiyero hasn't really, like, flirted with her. Is that true?
I don't know. Oh. I don't know. I don't remember that scene in the woods. Because, you know...
I don't know what you're saying.
Who's the director of Barbie?
Greta Gerwig?
Greta Gerwig. Okay, this is Greta Gerwig's Little Women rule. If you want a couple to be together at the end, they need to be introduced first.
Oh.
Like with that's why that's not why she did all the time jumping in her version of Little Women, but it was a perk of it because she was like, no one likes when Amy and Laurie end up together because the whole time you're like, Joe and Laurie, and then they are like done with each other, and then all of a sudden it's like Amy and Laurie. How weird. So because she was doing a non-linear time thing,
she could introduce them first.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think it made that much of a difference for me, but I heard in an interview she was talking about
That's interesting.
She was like, they needed to meet first so that it's easier to buy them. And it probably did help a little bit.
Probably.
But anyway, I don't remember if that scene with Elphaba and Fiyero meeting is in the show, but regardless, the fact that it was there, I think was great.
Yeah, and apparently he's, like, racist to her in the other versions. But, like, they took that out.
Like, green racist?
Yeah, like, green racist.
Yeah, he was very nice to her in this one.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because he's very shallow, and he's just like everyone else, and he's not special. He's just a pretty boy. Elphaba likes him because, like, he's attractive. Well, that's not why. I think that's, like, controversial that I say that she likes him because he's attractive. I think she does like him because he's attractive, but then, like, she doesn't like him because his personality is so shit. And as soon as he shows his humanity, then she's like, ooh. But I just love when I was, like, listening more closely to the lyrics of that song that she's, like, the song is really, like, in context. It's, like, your realization about the context of Defying Gravity. Like, she's really in that where she's like, oh my god, I might be starting to have a thing for my best friend and roommate's man. Yeah. And that's why I like, really listen to that part where she's like, don't dream, don't start. Like, she's like, don't even. Yeah,
wishing just leaves a wound or whatever.
Yeah, wishing only wounds the heart.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It is good. And the optics.
The optics are insane.
The optics are crazy when she's like, oh, like, she's like the golden haired one. And like,
that is also gay. That part of the song. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Who are you really in love with, actually?
Yeah, and I feel like, once again, that's where, like, casting a woman of color, it works so well. Because, like, being overlooked and, like, undesirable in comparison to, like, the blonde white girl.
Elphaba has always been the strongest metaphor for, like, being a person of color.
Yeah, 100%.
You could say that it applies to many things, but that has always been, like, the clearest, most direct comparison. So I think that's a maze.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know, like, once again, what it's like in the other versions, but I guess I did like the fact that he wasn't necessarily rude to her in the beginning, and he was actually nice to her, because I feel like it make a lot of sense why she instantly chose to let him stay awake with the poppy scene to help her with the lion cub, and then why she didn't choose Glinda, because Glinda was treating her in a way where it's like, not obviously she's on her side.
Yeah, I saw someone complaining about that on Tumblr, because they're like, why did she leave him awake when... But it made sense. When, like, she was much closer with Glinda at that point. Right. But, like, even though they were friends...
they were more aligned.
Yeah. Well, she didn't know that, though, I guess.
But I feel like she did know that because he wasn't racist to her when everyone else was, like, weird about her being green, including Glinda. And he wasn't. I feel like he was one of the only people who was, like, obviously kind of weirded out by, like, everyone making fun of her at the Ozfest. Like, other people were too, but, like, Nessa at least was kind of more in, like, I'm embarrassed, like, also for myself kind of way, but for being, like, related to her. But he was like, oh, wow, she doesn't care that, like, anyone's watching. Yeah. So I feel like she knew that he was kind of a little more aligned with her, and I feel like that adds such, like, a juicy tension to, like, the three of their relationship, because it's like, oh, you are soulmates with Glinda, but, like, you have this political divide that keeps coming up between you, and, like, the way you were raised, he kind of gets it on a political and, like, value scale. So she's, like, caught between these two, like I think that's the real, like, real love triangle. It's not like, oh, is Fiyero gonna choose Glinda or Elphaba? It's like, is Elphaba gonna choose Fiyero or Glinda?
Oh!
Thank you.
You ate with that. You know, it also kind of aligns with, like, not what's convenient, I guess, but what is practical. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, you could think of this as like a metaphor, like what's practical and, well, I guess, yeah, more convenient, like dating a man or dating a woman if you're a woman. And a lot of times it's dating a man. And so she kind of goes away with Fiyero because with the lives that she and Glinda want to lead, it will never work out. Both opportunities where they have choices to make, they always choose differently. And so they can never be together. And so, like you said, even though they're soulmates and like, I think love each other more than Elphaba and Fiyero love each other, she still goes with Fiyero because he's willing to leave with her and like leave everything behind, but Glinda wasn't willing to do that.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like that's the tragedy of their story, because if their society didn't have inequity and Glinda didn't want to stay with the status quo so she could keep her societal status, and then Elphaba didn't have morals where she wanted to push against that, like they could have been together, but then also they wouldn't be the people that they are. They wouldn't be the same people, so they probably wouldn't have that like strong of love, but because they are the people that they are in the place that they are, they can never be together.
And isn't that the biggest tragedy?
Kind of makes me crazy.
Oh my god, I was looking for some good Gelfie fan fiction yesterday.
Is there none?
I couldn't, I mean,
There's like, gotta be. I mean, it's been around for how many years?
I sorted by kudos and I couldn't find anything like that was really catching my eye. I just need to start reading them.
Oh, you didn't open them?
No.
Yeah, well then...
I will. I'll do some proper research. And if I can't find anything, then I'll write something.
Yes, you gotta write something.
Yeah, I shall. Take matters into my own hands. Anyway, we liked the movie. Hasn't been such a good movie musical adaptation since like Chicago.
Dude, for real. I mean, I haven't seen Chicago, but yeah, for real. The ones I have seen have all been bad.
Chicago was good. Hairspray was really good. That was a long time ago. Hairspray is impressive because I hate that musical, but the movie musical was a great, like, it was so much better than the musical. What are your last thoughts?
My last thoughts are that I'm crazy about them now. Like, they've been haunting me. Dude, I'm actually, like, invested in, like, the three of them. And especially, like, Glinda and Elphaba, obviously. But, yeah, no, like, I was like, that was so good. Like, I can't remember the last time a piece of media... I know I've repeated this so many times, but it was really good. And I feel like they did a good job with making it really obvious they all care about each other, but introducing, like, realistic obstacles to why they can't all, like, be together.
No, it's so nice that we can actually get on here and, like, be positive about something.
I know!
Because we almost never watch something we both like. Or just, like, is
I mean, we
kind
do
of just
both
good.
like a lot of things, but it's just been a while since... we haven't watched something we both like since starting the podcast. My last thought is, I think that the love triangle with, like, Elphaba caught between, like, the two of them, it's kind of giving, like, the Hunger Games love triangle, where they both have political, like, ties. They both represent something politically, as well as, like, representing different aspects of Elphaba. So...
what does PETA represent?
PETA represents hope for the future and, like, being kind in the face of, you know, oppression. And, you know, because he really sticks with his, like, morals and stuff. And he's like, I'm going to continue to, like, not let them change who I am. And
Gale is very, like, let's kill the oppressor.
Yeah, and then...
because he kills, but they could never be together because of circumstance, because he fucking kills Primrose Everdeen. Poor girl, did nothing wrong, but that's war.
Yep, that's war.
That was your last closing thought?
That was my closing thought,
My
comparison.
My closing thought is... and thank you, everybody.
All right, we'll see you later.
Bye, babes.
Bye.